Hello, everyone. We are here at the Las Vegas Super Congress, and we're going to be doing a series of interviews with the pros we're bringing in September to Edmonton. And the first one we're going to do is with Hunter Houde, one of my favorite salsa leads of all time. So we've got some questions that people have sent in, and we selected a few to ask our pro.
All right, let's do it.
So the first one is, do you have any tips for staying calm and grounded while doing performances?
Yeah, the first is a lot of it is just hours in the game. So perform as much as you can, get on stage as much as you can, compete as much as you can, perform. I mean, any opportunity you get, just get out in front of people. It's gonna make it so that it becomes less special, right? Less of a big occasion, and then you're gonna be able to be more yourself. The second thing is when you go out there, focus on just executing. Do all your hard work. Do all your hard work in the studio, so that by the time you get to the actual show, you can just take it down a notch. Just execute. Don't try to overdo it, and then it's gonna come off in the best light. And also, you're gonna be more relaxed because you're not trying to do extra. You're just like, no, execution, plain and simple, and it's gonna come out great.
Great feedback for our dancers. So make sure that you prepare before the performance.
That's right.
What type of exercise do you do besides dancing to stay in shape and be able to keep your stamina while dancing? And how often do you do it?
Okay, cool, great question. So actually, I the only thing that I do outside of dancing is pretty much my upper body. So as far as I don't do like I like never run. This is probably not good, but I should probably do some more cross training. But yeah, I'm dancing so much. I don't even take if there's an elevator, I don't take the stairs. I just like I'm usually that tired from all of the dancing, rehearsing, teaching. I'm out in the city all day, running up and down the subway and all this sort. So I don't do a lot of extra exercise, but I do. Recently, I'm on like a campaign for my upper body. So because I've been dealing with some shoulder injuries, and so I'm like, all right, no more. I gotta keep my upper body in shape, and that's the one thing that we don't really get a lot in Latin dance is upper body work. I will say though that the other thing though that I always do is I'm a stickler about warm ups. Okay, so if you think about any uh, other professional movement, ballet class, right? What's half the class is a warm up. They're just doing their basics and warming their body up and prepping their whole body so that they can do the movements of the dance without injury. And so if I totally one of the reasons why I am pretty injury free. I'm gonna knock on wood here, of course, but actually I do have injuries like all the time, but they're minor. And I work constantly with this guy Andreas Saltas, he's a freaking genius, and the guy is a personal trainer. But you have to treat your injuries immediately. Okay, so don't let yourself kind of like go and nurse some sort of discomfort in your body or tough it out. No, if you're stiff, if you're a little stiff, if you're a little sore, get help, so that you can continue to go, right? I never like take time off. Oh, I'm gonna take time off. No, if I have an injury, I see Andreas and I get it fixed, and you know what I mean. You have to nip it in the bud. But my warm ups are a part of that preparation so that I can keep going like all the time, and that allows you to also dance at your top condition, right? So if you prep your body, you prime your muscles, you get yourself ready to go, and you can be in your rehearsal at full force. And that, like, the more time you can get rehearsing and dancing in full force when your body is warm and you feel, your muscles are supple and your joints are like, then the more of that muscle memory your body's gonna get, the better you're going to dance over time. So upper body and warm ups. Don't skip the warm ups.
For sure.
Yes, for
and
sure.
treat your injuries when
Yes,
they happen.
and treat your injuries when they happen. Don't let it sit.
So the next question we have is, what fundamental skills do you always work on? You're very experienced as a dancer, but I know that you continue to train. So what is some of the advice of what to work on?
Yeah, your basics. Your basics. The first thing you learn, and there's the last thing you master. So all the things you learn in your beginner class and your advanced beginner class, that's the stuff that you need to spend the most time on throughout your whole career. That's it.
You heard it here first. Always work on your basics. So on Tuesdays, this is why we do foundation every single Tuesday.
Exactly. And you take like any other discipline, you'll find the same thing. You know, you can find someone who's really good at anything, and they're gonna be like, wait, my foot here. You know, it's like the better they are at it, the more sort of detail oriented they are about the little particularities, because the devil is certainly in the details, and so is mastery as well.
Yeah,
so,
and for sure, that's why we do the private training.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that really helps.
Yes.
So the next question that we got was, what advice would you give social dancers who are considering competing in the heated or showcase divisions?
Advice for social dancers considering the heated or showcase competition. That's great question. So I just was talking to a brand new student of mine just about this recently. There are three main pillars in dance. It's like the triad of improvement, right? And that's private lessons, group classes, and social dancing. So if you want the bare minimum, you want to learn how to dance and you want to become somewhat proficient, right? We're not even setting the bar that high, somewhat proficient. You got to have those three. Why? Because the private training, you're gonna find out what you need to work on specifically. Okay, you're gonna find out all the little. You're gonna get individual attention. Okay, the group classes, you need to practice with lots of different people, right, and get the repetition and vocabulary. But you're not going to get individual attention in a group class. It's just not what they're for. You might get like a random, example given out, but you're gonna try these things and you'll be making mistakes and you're not gonna be able to be corrected. And that's what the private lessons are for. Group classes are for, like I said, repetition, vocabulary, and then social dancing is when you apply it. You have to apply, what you're learning in a playful way. So the social dancing should be practicing what you learn, but you should be having fun, right? Now, to competition, that's the fourth pillar that really that is gonna like supercharge your learning. Okay, so if you want to think about competition performance like this, you're going to all these things that you're learning in class and in your private lessons and then practicing in your social dancing. Now you're gonna do that in front of people as a showcase, right? So now there's a heightened level of responsibility that you have to know your stuff, and competition in particular is helpful for that because you're being judged, you're being you're seen by the judges, and you're gonna get marked, and and so it's a really amazing way, and especially for people learning and wanting to improve. You have a goal of competing. Well, that's like 2 months away. So now you can see, okay, well, what can I objectively achieve between now and then? You set out objectives with your coach or whatever, and you go and work on that stuff. You work your ass off, and you train, and you practice those skills that you're gonna need to show mastery of. And then you're gonna go. You're gonna get dressed up. You're gonna go out and you're gonna demonstrate that stuff and have fun. And you're gonna do it in an artful way, in a beautiful way. And that's like the most responsibility you can have, right? Because you're out there showing. You gotta show what you do, and you're gonna make it look good. And then now you're a great dancer, and then not just from 1, 2, 3, but now you're on the way to become the best dancer you can be, because now you are you're looking at in detail at stuff that you wouldn't otherwise, right? When you're dancing with somebody in a social, you're having fun. You're not trying to think about all the little details of what you're doing and stuff like that. So, that's the reason why. Now, if you want to go and you're very competitive nature and you want to win, then great, it's a natural step. But even if you're not, that's the reason why you do it. That's the reason why you go out and you do that, because it's the most responsibility you have in your dancing, and that's going to make you a better dancer very, very quickly.
Great advice. So, yeah, make sure to have fun when you're social dancing and
Yeah.
use the training time for training.
Oh, I'm gonna say one other thing. Also, for very ambitious, active dancers, like I still am, but when I was younger, really training, um, competition and performance was my chance to get out that energy, and so I could be tired out and normal when I was dancing with, with a partner, because I would have so much energy and I have so much enthusiasm that it was a nightmare to dance with me socially, because I'd be too rough and I'd be too, wild and stuff like this. So that gave me an outlet for that creative sort of like exertion, and then you're gonna be a much nicer person to dance with
Yeah.
afterward. But if you do find you have that really creative like urge, you gotta find a way to express that, so you don't sort of take that out on your dance partner. Like, you really have to be sort of in even if you're leading, you have to be in a receptive mindset when you say,
Absolutely,
right,
yeah. So we again, Tuesdays, we talk about this all the time. There's a technique for performance and technique for social dancing, and it is different. And you are connecting with your partner when you're social dancing, and when you're performing, you are connecting more with the audience, the judges, and a little bit with your partner.
Yeah, certainly with your partner, like, especially if you're dancing. I mean, I connect a lot with my partner. Yeah, I really, and I think that I think that it reads really, really well when you do so. And in heats, I tell my students this too. Like I said, just look at me, right? So it's you get into your body first, right? You feel good in yourself, and then you look at your partner and you feed off that, right? So that you're sharing that between the two of you, and then people are enjoying that. People are enjoying seeing you feel good within the music, and they're enjoying even more watching you have this experience with your partner. And that I swear, like, even performance, that is, you lean on that, for the effect of your performance. And then the third step is that now we're going to share this with the audience, right? So it goes from yourself to us, and then you pour that out into the audience. But it has to come, if it's a good show, if it's a good connection, it has to come like that, from the individual, then the connection, and then you share it with the audience, and then that they're gonna feel that if you're allowing that to generate organically.
All right, you heard it there. Edmonton performers, connect with your partner.
Yes.
This is why we love social dancing with you. So we're gonna get a little bit personal for the next few questions. What is the most accomplished thing you have ever done?
Like what I felt most accomplished about doing, right? I would say, as a if I was talking to, a stranger or something like this, I'd probably say getting to be in the movie In the Heights, which was a thrill, and you get to see yourself on the big screen, and it's like also like a beautiful legacy, that whole the whole play, and then it becoming a musical and everything like that. So that was an incredible experience to be a part of, and along with like so many people in the New York scene, right? It was like a really kind of a homegrown movie cast and stuff. That was great. But I will say that the thing probably I am most proud of, right, as far as personally, is winning being vice champion of onto this past year with Judith. And the reason I say that is because that's more of a representation of like the work that I've done over my entire dance career, and sort of it's like a representation of my dance journey. We didn't win it, but I was proud of the routine, proud of the way we danced. And we lost to Adriano and Samantha, right? Like, they've been dancing together for like 10 years. Like, he's like, an idol of mine. Like, I looked up to this dude in his dancing, since I knew him, and like, when I started in Balmir and got to know him. I mean, so to like come in behind them is like, all right, I can deal with that, And Judith and I had only been dancing for about 6 months together, so that was another like,
Wow.
So that's an accomplishment in and of itself, right? Now, most of these people that are placing, they're winning certainly and placing in the top three. I mean, you probably the 80% of the time the numbers are, but a vast majority of the time these are like seasoned partners, right? Billy always says, he goes, partnership hasn't really seasoned until like 5 years, and it's true because it takes a lot of time to get acclimated to a partner and to work out the kinks and stuff like this. I think with Judith, we both, uh, it just worked. We were able to work really well together. We were able to be efficient and be. It wasn't like drama, we were professional. And also we were both, I think, in places in our career where we had both had enough outside experience that, we were able to make stuff happen quickly. But I mean, that the fact that we were together for so short a time and to place that well in Summit was really good. And there was like, I don't know how many, it was like maybe nine other couples or 10. There was like a lot of other couples, right? It wasn't just like 3 or 4 people. So I was very, very proud of that, and I feel like that's something I feel like probably the most accomplished in my career. That whole experience.
And speaking of working really quickly, you and Valentina did incredible last time we brought you.
Thank you. I know it was so exciting.
Unfortunately, she's not here with us, but I hear you're working on some new things.
Yeah. We have plans to put a routine together, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that pans out. Yeah. Hopefully sharing it with all you guys very soon.
So maybe we'll get to see it at one of the weekenders in Edmonton.
Yes.
We did touch on a little bit about your accomplishments and sort of what you've done. But if you could pick one moment that made you say, wow, I made it in the dancing world, what would it be?
I think it was probably 2019, and that was the year of the movie, and that was also the year where I was like co-starring in an off-Broadway play called Carmen to Havana and Back. So this was like a immersive theater production that ran for like 2 years. I think there's like 2 solid years that ran for, and I was part of it for 2 runs, and so that all happened in 2019. And this was I also like got a lot of new students in 2019. So that was a year where I was like, wow, I was making good money, and I was, doing all these like artistic things, and I was, it was like, wow, okay, that felt like a turning point. It's so interesting. I'll say about that. It is very interesting because it was also in that same year that I started to feel very lost. And it's so, it's like the what they say about like about being it being about the journey, not the destination. And then I just felt that so strikingly in that year. I was like, oh, okay, cool. It was sort of this breath of relief that like, okay, oh, I'm doing it. I'm finally doing it. And then it was like, okay, so what now? Like obviously, I mean, I've done things after that. Like I shared with you, the thing I was most proud about, winning the vice champion of the on two, and then like just there's been many things that I want to do, but it was a point where I was like, okay, like I had to, at each turning point, you have to sort of say, okay, like what is the next big goal that is big enough to get me excited. That's one thing I find very helpful. is like you have to have a goal that feels impossible, but also at the same time would be so amazing if it were to be realized that that combination, for me, I think for a lot of people, is enough to really, really get a very youthful and vigorous uh, energy and motivation behind it, And so that I've had to find that in different times in my life, and that was one of those times where I was like, okay, so I'm doing this now. There's still more to do, but now it all seems kind of like a matter of course, right? As opposed to like some far off thing that I have to really kind of stretch my limitations to achieve. You know what I mean? And so I've had to do that several times, but that's like kind of the flip side of when those moments happen. So like in other words, you achieve a lot, and then you're like, okay, now I have to find another exciting thing to shoot for.
Next question is, given that you inspire so many with your dancing, who inspires you? And you mentioned Adriano as one of the people. And who are some of the others?
Yeah, and so many people have inspired me. I mean, if you're a salsero, I mean, Johnny Vasquez, Eddie Torres. I studied with Franklin Diaz for a long time. He was a big inspiration for me for many years. Still is. He's an incredible dancer, incredible guy. Adolfo, I trained with him for 3 years. Really inspiration. Fernando. I mean, with these guys, have created with their schools and with the amount of work that they've accomplished. It's very inspiring, if you're in this industry. Also, I mean, I've had like so many Cuban dancers that have inspired me. I trained in Cuba with Domingo Pau, with Waldemar. It's just like a bunch of guys in Cuba that I worked with that are very inspiring. I just recently got to meet another sort of idol of mine, Barbarito Ramos, who was a dancer from Muñequitos de Matanza. And I had videos of him on my YouTube since like probably 2011. And I'd studied him in my solos, for Chango and different things. And then he came to New York. Actually, some people in New York brought him for a festival, took his class, got to study with him, and did privates with him, and that was really great as well. Yeah, so I'm very easily inspired by good dancers, good artists. So yeah, I mean, there's been countless, but those are a handful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. It's hard to
Yeah.
pick just
No,
a couple.
yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
that's what happens when you're passionate about dance. Next question. So, you and I have talked about this many, many times, and the challenges of being in a really small scene that doesn't have professional dancers teaching there. We used to, but they've kind of moved away to Australia, unfortunately. So, what is your advice for those of us who are serious about our dancing but are in smaller dance communities such as Alberta?
Yeah, so of course, travel as much as you can, right? Go to where other people like yourself are, and go to where you can get good training, like you're doing. Bring people to your hometown, and in the meantime, um, like you gotta work with what you have, and you gotta do the best you can. I would say that um, if you're traveling, if you're going as much as you can to where there are other dancers both like yourself and where you can get training, and you're maybe sometimes bringing people to where you are to dance and train. Um, Hopefully where you are, you can have a dedicated practice partner. That's really helpful that you could practice with. Um, and then it's the same answer basically for wherever you are. You just have to do the best you can with what you have. If you're set on staying there and you're not, let's say, young and thinking about moving to a big city where there's lots of dancing going on, then you know I say have mentors, like you're doing. Establish relationships with different professionals and people too. So you have a network, right? One of the things about social media and stuff like this is that you can be connected pretty closely with people from around the world. So you have to develop your network and you'll learn a lot and get a lot out of that, just by cultivating a network of professionals and you know, the other dance enthusiasts, right, that you can learn off of and talk to and keep current with your dance trivia.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love taking other instructors' classes because I always learn something, not just the content, but also teaching methodologies.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
so that's really great. How do you avoid forgetting the movements from past workshops and classes while you keep learning new ones? And that's something I struggle with too. So I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, so you got to remember, like I said, that we don't. What we do in salsa is like we step, we kick, we tap. There's not a whole lot that you have to work with, and there is also at the same time. So that what I'm trying to say is that, like, if I've recorded workshops and things like, for years and years and years. Do I ever go back and look at these things? 99% of the time, no. So don't worry about that stuff. You gotta. That's why you have to. It's important to inundate yourself with enough dance and also get good professional guidance, right? So that you focus on the most important things. There's really like a few most important things. And that's what you need to focus on. That you can't. You want to never forget to use Cuban motion when you're dancing, right? You don't want to forget to, like, keep your chest up when you're dancing with somebody, or whatever. These certain things that have to do with the mechanics of your movement and stuff like this. And like, one thing I'd say is, for stuff that's more elaborate, like, let's say syllabus, right? Syllabus moves. You could go to a studio and there could be like 80 syllabus steps. That stuff, you need to write it down and commit it to memory. But there you go. That's like, you write it down. That's how you don't forget it. Yeah, that's how you don't forget it. Write it down. But nobody can keep like every class they've ever learned in their head. You have to be able to. And that's what I say. You have to become educated to be able to discern, right, what is essential here, and remember the essential thing. So ask questions. That's a good way to. That's actually a great way to get. If you're not educated yet, and you go to this class or something, you learn the combo. Ask the person afterwards. Say, what is the most essential takeaway that I need from this, right? I'm a newbie, or I'm still learning, and I can't remember all these things at this event, all these things, all the combos at the Congress. But like, from this, like, what is the one thing that I should take away from this class? I mean, if somebody asked me that, I would be impressed, and I think I could, give them a pretty good answer of that,
Yeah.
So.
No, that's great advice. And we always tell people, if you're going to go into one of these workshops, even if you retain 10%, it's good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just take a piece. Absolutely. You don't have to remember the whole thing. So next, we're going to get a little bit quirky with our questions. Bear with us here. If you visited another galaxy and met aliens, how would you describe salsa to them?
Okay. Well, yeah, assuming they know what humans are. Yeah, okay. Salsa is something we do for fun and to connect. I don't know. There's not enough parameters in that question. I don't know what these aliens know. I can't.
That's a great answer, because we dance to connect.
At
the end of the day, we dance
for fun and connection. But if I don't know what these aliens are.
Salsa is the sauce.
It is. It's the sauce of life. It's the
sauce of life. Yes. So the last question that we have, it is getting a little bit personal again, going a little bit more into your film experience. So this particular follow said, I read that you have worked in both film and theater and was wondering which film you starred in. I think you mentioned some of it. And what is your preference, film or theater, and why? Also, what is your favorite Congress so far that you have attended?
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a long question.
Yeah, it's like
Two
it's
questions.
like two questions. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't start in the Heights. I was in the Heights. I started in off Broadway play. Um, they were both great. I mean, I would say that if someone was like, okay, you got to do theater or film for the rest of your life, I would do film. And not because one is better than the other, but because simply, when you do film, you get residuals, and it also pays much better. So for what you do with your time, it pays much better, and then you get paid continually for your work, which is not the case in theater. Theater is just you show up, you do it, you get paid, and the pay is less. So it's not that it's more fun or less fun. It's just that for that, I would pick film for sure. Because the action is still fun, right? You're dancing or you're doing whatever you're doing right, in the movie or on stage. But for that, I would say film.
Oh. And what's your favorite Congress so far that you've attended?
Um, yeah, I don't know how to answer that either. I mean, this is a great one. I love this one, the Las Vegas Super Congress. Um, what other ones? I mean, New York Congress is always a favorite. I guess as a New York like dancer, I'd have to say New York Congress. This is because there's so many memories. It's the one that I don't think I've ever missed in New York Congress, right? So, I'll throw it out to New York. But I there's so many good ones. Calgary, I love Calgary. Always come to Calgary. Uh, all the Canadian ones are great. I always go to the Canadian ones, and yeah, I mean, there's it's hard to say. It's hard to say because everyone's gonna have a certain good, and it's also like there's not. I don't know if I've ever been to a bad Congress. You know what I mean? I was talking to somebody about this the other day. You go to Congresses have different like pros and cons, but if you go somewhere with a bunch of people who want to dance salsa and you put on salsa music, you're gonna have a good time. It's so hard to mess it up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, actually, it's even not a Congress, even if you go outside.
exactly, it's the whole point of the Congress is like the people and the music. So like when those two are together, you're good. It's a good time. That's it.
But yeah, we love seeing you in Canada and hope to see much more of you.
Yes.
For sure, September, maybe Montreal this summer.
Yes.
So I hope some of you will attend.
Yes.
Take these tips because you don't get time with the pros like this very often. So thank you so much for taking the time and working with you.
Yes. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, Irina. Yes.